Hey there, welcome to AutoNet. So today I want to talk a little bit about how you can take advantage of the group layer to kind of organize the layers inside your application and kind of make a cleaner UI and user experience for your app. So what I've done here is I actually have two layers and I'm bringing them in from Portal. One layer is a vector tile layer that I generated, and one layer is the source data for the vector tile layer I generated. However, what I did is the vector tiles are actually a hex bins, but I went ahead and converted those to points so I could publish them as well. So I've got the points that are the centroids of my hex bins as a feature layer, and then the hex bins themselves are actually vector tiles. And that's so that I could do something like click on the map and I can actually get the pop-up for data that generated the vector tiles. Got it? All right, cool. So that looks like it works, but if I were to turn off the hex bins, you see I just get the strip of the centroids for my data. And that's because it's just too much data. I can't just can't download that much data. It's a lot. All right, so this is for all of the counties for the entire United States. So then I've got a hex bin centroid in here, and I've got the vector tiles right here. So the performance of this is great if I turn off the centroids and I just use the vector tiles themselves. I zoom in. Oops, that's the magic mouse talking. So if I or jack it up my zoom. So if I zoom in here, the vector tiles look good. I can turn on the centroids for the data, and that's going to take a while to kind of load. And even then, it's probably not going to load all of the points on my screen. So I kind of what I want to do is I want to make it so that as I zoom in, the point data will show up at a decent scale, and as I zoom out, the point data will disappear and I only show the vector tiles. So it's going to go from vector tiles to point data, and then point data to vector tiles depending on my scale of my map, right? So there's a couple of ways I can do that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. First thing I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and I've got a list of portal items right here, just two of them. And I have a little function here that's going to create a portal item from each of the IDs I've got. And I'm just going to use the static method from portal item on the layer to do that. This method returns a promise. So I'm going to use dojo promise all so I can go ahead and wrap all that. That's really like a deferred, which is kind of a promise. We've been around before promises, but the basic idea here is that map over my IDs, pass it the from portal method. Now I've got all these promises that are going to resolve, and when they do, I'm just going to add those layers to the map. And that's all I'm currently doing at this point. I'm not doing anything else. Let's see, anything show up? We got a few more points there than we did earlier. All right, that's still not going to do anything for me. So how can I clean this up using my group layer? The other thing is that I don't care that I've got two layers. I'm treating the vector tile data and the point data as a single layer. I don't care about turning them on and off manually myself, because I may do something stupid and try and turn on the centroids when I'm way zoomed out, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my group layer in here. So I'm just going to create a new group layer. I'm going to give it a title called households, and that's a title that's going to show up inside of my layer list widget. And then list mode is a property I can use that's going to hide the children of the group layer. If you don't use list mode hide children, it's just going to add them as children in the layer list of whatever layers it's currently going to contain, right? It's pretty straightforward. So if I come over here, I can just go ahead and add the layers property to the map and put my group layer in there. So we see here I've got households, and then I'm still adding my layers, vector tile, and the central layers at the bottom here. Let's go ahead and change that. So let's remove, oops, look at that. I'm trying to load all this data, just killing my machine here, right? And got way too carried away trying to load data. So let me go ahead and grab something that I wrote here. It's going to let me do this a little easier. What I want to do is I want to iterate over the results I get back. All right, so that's what the for each is going to do. So I'm going to grab my layer. If the layer type is feature, meaning that it's a feature layer, then I'm going to set the min scale on that layer to some number to that. After playing around with zooming in and zooming out, I came up with would be a good good transition point between the two layers. So I set the min scale here, and if it's not, I know it's the vector tile layer, so I'm going to set the max scale on the vector tile layer. Then I'm going to add those two layers to the group layer. So now if we look at the layer of this widget over here, I only have the one entry called households, that's my group layer, contains both of my data sets. And now I'm going to go ahead and if I start zooming in, you're going to see the household point data start to show up. Now it still takes a little bit to show up, but it's going to show up because it's a decent enough scale that the data is going to be available. And now I can start clicking on points and I get my pop-ups to do some cool stuff. All right, then if I zoom out, the points go away and I'm going to have my vector tiles again. So you can see here that's a pretty good UI, user experience I could use to add this data set in my application and still have it show up in the layer list widget that I want it to show up. Awesome. Give it a try, see what you can do. Thanks.